Rain slashed sideways across Vermilion City as the black sedan skidded around a corner, tires screaming. Inside, Alara Voss was pressed against the window, wrists tied, heart hammering so violently she could barely breathe. She didn't know where they were taking her, only that the men beside her hadn't spoken a word since shoving her into the car. A gunshot exploded from somewhere behind them. The driver cursed. "They're here already. Boss won't like this." Alara jerked upright.
Who?
"Who's here? What do you want from me?" "Shut up," the man beside her growled, but his voice shook. Whoever they were afraid of was worse than them. The car skidded to a stop in front of a towering glass fortress. The Vale Collective headquarters. The most dangerous syndicate in the city. The back door ripped open. A man with storm-dark eyes and a cold, unshakable presence stood in the rain, barely flinching as lightning cracked overhead. Cassian Vale, the shadow ruler of Vermilion. He looked down at her like she was an inconvenience delivered late. "Untie her," Cassian ordered quietly. The men hesitated. Cassian raised a brow. They scrambled to obey. Alara stumbled out, shivering. I didn't do anything. You have the wrong person." Cassian stepped close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him despite the icy rain. "You're Alara Voss, former prosecutor, former golden prodigy, the woman who tore apart a senator's career, and the woman who vanished when the city turned on her." His voice was smooth, precise, lethal. "You're exactly who I asked for." Alara froze. "I didn't agree to come here." "You weren't asked," he replied. "You were required." He turned and walked into the skyscraper, expecting her to follow. The guards behind her made sure she did. Inside, the lobby was silent except for the distant hum of elevators. Cassian's footsteps echoed as he led her into a private conference room. He motioned toward a chair. "Sit." "I'd rather stand," she whispered. He didn't force her. "Suit yourself." He tossed a thick folder onto the table. Dozens of pages slid out, covered in legal jargon, signatures, time-stamped clauses. "A multi-company merger contract," Alara murmured, scanning the top page. "Why show me this?" Cassian leaned against the table, arms crossed. "Because someone tampered with it. Someone who understands the law better than my men. Someone who wants to collapse 6 years of my business operations with one signature." His eyes narrowed. "And you're going to tell me exactly how." "I'm not your lawyer." "No," he agreed. "You're the only person who can see the trap." Alara exhaled shakily. She couldn't deny it. Even at first glance, she recognized patterns, too familiar, too calculated. Her pulse quickened as she flipped through page after page. "This is Cassian. This is sabotage. Look at this clause. It triggers automatic dissolution if any asset transfer appears non-compliant. And here, see the timestamp? Someone forged approval from your finance division." Her voice cracked. "This isn't sloppy fraud. This is a legal chokehold." Cassian watched her with unsettling intensity. "So you see it." "I've seen it before," she whispered. His expression sharpened. "In your case." Alara stopped breathing. Cassian pushed off the table and slowly approached her. Rain still clung to his dark hair, trailing down his jawline. "The same people who buried your career are trying to bury me." "That's impossible," she said, backing away. "They wouldn't go after someone like you." "That's exactly why they would," he murmured. Alara swallowed hard. Memories crashed through her mind. Her mother crying in their kitchen, the news announcing her suspension, reporters swarming her doorstep, the anonymous threats, the forged evidence that ruined everything. She shook her head. "I'm not doing this. I'm not getting involved. I'm not going back into that world." Cassian stepped in front of her before she could reach the door. His voice dropped to a low, dangerous whisper. "You already are." Alara's hands trembled. She forced herself to meet his eyes. "What do you want from me?" "Explain how deep this trap goes," he said. "Tell me who designed it. Help me stop the people who are coming for my empire." "And if I refuse?" Cassian didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "Then the same people who destroyed you will destroy you again. I'm the only shield you have left, Alara." Her breath hitched. You're threatening me? No, he said softly. I'm giving you an option. Arden Crest entered the room, calm and sharp-eyed.
Boss.
We traced the digital signature on the last contract revision. Cashin didn't look away from Alara. And Arden's jaw tightened. It matches an encrypted server used by Mireia Thorne. Alara's knees nearly gave out. No, not her. She was the one who... Arden's gaze softened. She framed you. We know. Cashin stepped back, giving Alara space to breathe. Do you understand now? You and I were targeted by the same people. Alara's voice cracked.
Why?
Why me? Because you tried to expose them, Cashin replied. And because you're the only one skilled enough to uncover what they're hiding. Her eyes stung, vision blurring. She sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. I can't do this alone. Cashin pulled out the chair across from her and sat. For the first time, his tone softened, not warm, not kind, but steady. You're not alone. Alara lifted her head, startled. He leaned forward. Help me fight them. Help me tear them apart piece by piece. Give me the truth they stole from you. Tears slipped quietly down her cheeks. Why should I trust you? Because, he said, unlike them, I don't need to lie to control you. Arden glanced between them. Boss, there's more. Cashin sighed. Say it. Arden hesitated before speaking. We found evidence of a mole. Inside our organization. Alara's eyes widened. That explains the forged signatures. Someone on the inside gave them full access. Cashin's jaw clenched. Then we find them before they find us. Alara whispered. They already did. Silence. The tension in the room thickened, electric and suffocating. Cashin finally stood.
Alara.
This is no longer just about me. Or you. His voice dropped, almost intimate. This is war. Before she could respond, the lights flickered. A gunshot rang through the hallway. Arden snapped to alert. Boss, get down. Alara froze. Cashin grabbed her arm and pulled her behind him. And the door swung open. A figure stepped inside. Hello, Cashin, the intruder said with a smile. Long time no see. Cashin's muscles tensed the moment he recognized the man in the doorway. Victor Rain. Once Cashin's most trusted strategist. Now standing there with a pistol pointed casually at Arden's chest, as if greeting old friends. Arden's voice hardened. Victor, what the hell are you doing? Victor smirked. Finishing what I started. Alara's pulse spiked. She could feel Cashin's hand subtly shift behind him, guiding her backward, shielding her with his body. Victor's eyes flickered toward her.
Ah.
The prodigy. The ghost of the justice system. You're prettier up close. Alara flinched. Cashin's voice dropped into something cold and lethal. Put the gun down. Or what? Victor tilted his head. You'll kill me? In front of your new little lawyer? You barely know her. I know enough, Cashin said. Victor laughed, but it wasn't a normal laugh. It was jagged, bitter, unhinged. You idiots should have stayed blind. The contract, the signatures, the revisions, every piece of it was a gift. I handed it to Thorne myself. Arden stepped forward, fury in every line of his face. You betrayed the collective. I evolved, Victor said simply. And now, I'm here to pick up the last loose thread. His aim shifted directly toward Alara. Cashin moved faster than she could blink. In one motion, he grabbed the table and flipped it, shoving her to the floor as bullets shattered the glass behind them. Arden fired back, forcing Victor to retreat into the hallway. Cashin crouched beside Alara, gripping her shoulders. Are you hurt? And no, she gasped, shaking uncontrollably. What? Why did he? Because you saw too much, Cashin said. And because they know what you're capable of. Arden fired another shot.
Cass.
He's heading for the stairwell. Cashin pulled Alara to her feet. Come on. She stumbled, but he held her steady, practically dragging her down the hallway while alarms blared through the building. Arden covered them from behind, scanning for movement. Alara's breath came in sharp bursts. Cashin, we need to call the police. Cashin almost laughed. The police work for Thorn. You want to walk right back into the hands of the people who buried you. She bit her lip. I don't want anyone dying because of me. Cashin stopped so abruptly, she ran into him. He turned to face her, rainwater and sweat dripping down his jaw. Listen to me, he said, voice low and fierce. Victor didn't come for you because of something you did wrong. He came because you're the only person who can expose them. They fear you, and they should. Alara swallowed, overwhelmed by the conviction in his tone. I'm not as strong as you think. You're stronger, he said, and you don't even know it yet. Before she could respond, Arden shouted, Cass. He's on the lower level. Cashin tightened his grip on her hand. Move. They rushed down the stairs, floors spinning beneath them, until they reached the dim corridor of the lower level. Pipes rattled overhead. Emergency lights flickered. The air was thick with tension. Cashin signaled Arden to circle around. He'll try to escape through the back access. Alara's voice trembled. What if he's waiting for us? Cashin didn't sugarcoat it. Then we finish this. Her stomach dropped. I'm not a fighter. He stepped closer, studying her tear-streaked face. You don't need to be. You just have to stay behind me. Alara nodded, though her knees felt like they might give out. They reached a metal door slightly ajar. Cashin motioned for silence. Alara held her breath, heart pounding so loudly she was sure Victor could hear it. Cashin kicked the door open. The room was dark except for the glow of city lights leaking through a vent. Victor stood inside, gun raised, waiting. You never learn, Cashin, Victor said, breathless and furious. Always protecting the wrong people. Cashin didn't hesitate. He stepped in front of Alara, shielding her completely.
She's not your target, he said.
Victor's smile was sickening.
Oh, she is.
She's the key to everything. Thorn wants her silenced permanently. And, honestly, I want the satisfaction of watching your face when she drops. Alara felt her throat tighten. Cashin's hand found her wrist behind him, gripping it with silent reassurance. Arden burst in from the left, firing. Victor ducked, rolled, and shot back. A bullet ricocheted off a pipe, sparking violently. Cashin dragged Alara behind a stack of crates. Stay down. Her breath came out in shaky gasps. Cashin, I can't. This is too much. Look at me. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. The intensity in them nearly stole her breath. You're safe. As long as you're with me, you're safe. She nodded, tears spilling. Cashin pulled away and stepped out from cover, firing at Victor with precise, deadly aim. Victor staggered, hit in the shoulder, but he didn't go down. You think I didn't prepare for you? He hissed. He raised his gun again, aiming directly for Cashin's heart. Alara acted without thinking. She grabbed a metal pipe lying beside her and threw it as hard as she could. It clattered loudly against a shelf, startling Victor for just a fraction of a second, long enough for Cashin to lunge forward and knock the gun from his hand. The two men crashed into the shelves, metal screeching, fists flying. Arden rushed to help, but Victor kicked him back, grabbing a shard of broken glass. Alara stepped forward instinctively. Cashin, stay back. Cashin snapped. Victor slashed forward. Cashin dodged, but blood splattered across the floor. Alara, Victor snarled. This is on you. He lunged toward her. Cashin roared and tackled him to the ground. They struggled violently until Cashin slammed Victor's head into the concrete once, twice. Victor went limp. Silence filled the air. Alara stared, shaking, tears streaking down her face. Is he? Cashin's chest heaved. He's alive. For now. Arden cuffed Victor with a disgusted scoff. Traitor. Cashin turned to Alara. She stepped back, overwhelmed. He reached for her, then stopped, sensing her fear. Alara, he said gently, you didn't do anything wrong. I shouldn't be here, she whispered. I don't belong in your world. You belong in the truth, he said. And right now, my world is the only place where the truth still has a chance. Her voice broke. I'm terrified. Cashin exhaled, his expression softening for the first time. So am I. She blinked. You're scared? For you, he admitted quietly. Alara's breath caught. Just then, Arden looked up. Cass, we need to move. Thorne's people will come for him. And for her. Cashin took Alara's hand again. Not asking, not forcing, simply holding. Come with me, he said. Let me keep you alive. Let me help you take your life back. Alara hesitated only a moment before nodding. Something in Cashin's eyes softened. As they stepped over the broken glass and into the corridor, he whispered low enough that only she could hear. This is just the beginning. They moved fast, weaving through the dim basement corridors until they reached the back exit. Rain pounded against the metal door outside, loud enough to mask their footsteps, but not loud enough to drown out the sirens growing in the distance. Arden shoved the door open and scanned the alley. Clear for now. But they'll sweep the whole block in minutes. Cashin squeezed Alara's hand, pulling her close enough that his shoulder brushed hers. Stay right beside me. She nodded, shivering from a mix of fear and cold. The rain drenched them instantly, soaking her hair and clothes. Cashin shrugged off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders in one swift, protective motion. Cass, she started. Don't argue, he said. You're freezing. Arden jogged ahead, checking the street. The car's 2 blocks down. We need to move. They ran through the rain, their footsteps splashing through puddles, every shadow feeling like a threat. Alara's breath hitched with every car that passed, every flicker of movement. Cashin, she whispered breathlessly. What if Victor wasn't working alone? What if someone else is waiting? Cashin looked over at her without slowing. Then they'll have to get through me first. Her chest tightened, fear, yes, but something else too. Something she didn't want to name. When they reached the black sedan, Arden yanked the door open. Get in. Cashin ushered Alara inside, then slid in beside her. The moment the door shut, the outside noise dulled, leaving only the drum of rain against the roof and the thundering of her heartbeat. Arden started driving, fast but controlled. We need a new safe house. They know this car. They know every pattern we use. Cashin rested an arm across the back of the seat, his hand hovering behind Alara as if ready to shield her from anything. Take us to the old transport hub. Arden's eyebrows shot up. Cass, that place hasn't been touched in years. That's exactly why it'll work, Cashin said. Alara swallowed hard. What is the transport hub? Cashin didn't immediately answer. He watched the rain streak across the window, expression unreadable. It's a place my family used before things went bad. Before Thorne. Before all of this. She studied him. It's personal. Yeah, he murmured. But right now, personal is safe. Silence settled over them, thick with tension. Alara kept glancing at Cashin's side, where Victor's shard had slashed him. Blood seeped through his shirt. Cashin, her voice trembled. You're hurt. It's nothing. It's bleeding. I've had worse. She reached toward him before she could stop herself. Cashin, it's not nothing. His eyes flicked to her hand, then to her face. For a moment he looked caught off guard, as if he wasn't used to someone worrying about him. Arden cut in. Cass, she's right. You're losing blood. Cashin gritted his teeth. I said I'm fine. Alara shook her head. You almost died for me. Let me help. He stared at her for a long second, rainlight reflecting in his dark eyes. Then he sighed, giving in. Fine. When we get to the hub. Arden took a sharp turn, tires skidding on wet pavement. Alara reached out instinctively, gripping Cashin's arm for balance. He placed his hand over hers, not pulling it away, just holding it there. Thunder rumbled overhead. After several tense minutes, the car slowed in front of a massive abandoned building. Rusted steel beams towered above them, surrounded by overgrown weeds and cracked pavement. Arden killed the engine. We're here. Cashin stepped out first, scanning the area, making sure it was clear before motioning for Alara to follow. She stepped into the rain again, flinching at the cold. Cashin immediately moved closer, slipping an arm around her back. Stay under me. You're the one bleeding, she said. And you're the one who almost got shot. Arden pushed open the old sliding door. Inside, the transport hub was dark, dusty, and echoing with memories Cashin didn't explain. The air smelled like rust and old engines. Cashin guided Alara into a small office room at the far end. Arden flicked on a flickering lamp. Cashin finally sat down, leaning against the wall, jaw clenched as he peeled back his shirt to reveal the wound. Alara inhaled sharply. Cashin, it's just a cut. It's deep. Arden rummaged through an old first aid kit and handed it to her. You handle it. He'll actually listen to you. Cashin shot him a glare. Shut up. Alara knelt beside him, hands trembling as she cleaned the wound. Every time he winced, she felt her heart squeeze. You shouldn't risk yourself like that, she whispered. He looked at her, expression softening. I'd do it again. Every time. Her breath caught. Why? Cashin held her gaze, steady, intense, unfiltered. Because I can't stand the thought of anything happening to you. Alara's chest tightened painfully. She looked away, blinking rapidly. You barely know me. I know enough, he said quietly. The same words he'd spoken to Victor. Arden cleared his throat. Hate to interrupt the moment, but we need a plan. Victor won't talk right away, but once Thorn realizes he's missing, they'll send others. Alara tied the bandage carefully, her fingers lingering on Cashin's skin before she pulled away. What do they want from me? Cashin answered before Arden could. Your mind. You're the only one who can decode the contract's root files. Thorn wants total control of the system, and you're the last piece. And if I don't give it to them? Arden looked grim. They'll keep coming. Alara felt the room tilt slightly. Fear crawled up her spine. I never asked for this. I never wanted any of it. Cashin leaned forward, his voice gentle. I know. But you're here now. And you're not alone. She swallowed hard and whispered, You keep saying that, but what if I slow you down? What if I make things worse? Cashin didn't hesitate. You won't. You already saved my life tonight. Alara blinked. I just threw a pipe. You acted, he said. When it mattered. Her cheeks warmed despite the cold. Arden stepped out to secure the perimeter, leaving them alone in the quiet room. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Cashin said softly, Alara, look at me.
She did.
His voice dropped, deep and steady. I'll protect you, no matter what it costs. Her heartbeat hammered. Why me? She whispered. Cashin's jaw flexed. Because you make me feel. He stopped himself, looking away, exhaling sharply. Forget it. No, she said softly. Say it. He shook his head. Not now. You've been through enough tonight. Before she could respond, Arden returned, breathless. Cass, they're here. Alara froze. Who? Arden's voice was tight. Thorn's advance team. At least 10 of them. Armed. Cashin stood instantly, every trace of softness vanishing. Get her to the back tunnel. Arden hesitated. Cass, there's too many. I said go. He grabbed Alara's hand again, pulling her close as footsteps thundered outside the building. Alara clung to him, fear trembling through her. Cashin, what do we do? Cashin looked down at her, eyes blazing with determination. We survive. Together. Cashin didn't waste a second. He tightened his grip around Alara's hand and moved fast, leading her deeper into the transport hub. Boots pounded across the metal floor outside, closer, sharper, multiplying. Arden cursed under his breath. They're sweeping the east side. We've got 60 seconds, tops. Alara's pulse raced. Cashin, there's no way out, is there? Cashin shot her a fierce look over his shoulder. There's always a way out. You just trust me. She nodded, though fear clawed at her throat. Arden reached a rusted control panel and yanked it open. Tunnel sealed. The manual release is jammed. Cashin didn't hesitate. He slammed his shoulder against the lever once, twice, metal groaning under the force. Alara placed a hand on his back. Cashin, your injury? He gritted his teeth. I'm fine. Arden listened at the door, face pale. They're splitting into 2 squads. Cashin's jaw hardened. We only need this open far enough to get her through. Alara shook her head violently.
No.
I'm not leaving without you. Cashin turned, grabbing her shoulders, his voice low but firm.
Alara.
If they catch you, everything you suffered, everything you lost, it'll all happen again. I won't let them take you. Her breath shook. And what about you? I'll be right behind you. Promise. He blinked slowly, something vulnerable flickering in his eyes. Then he nodded once. I promise. Arden braced his foot against the wall and pulled the lower latch. Together, he and Cashin forced the lever down. With a loud metallic crack, the tunnel hatch jerked open just a few inches. Cashin shoved his knife into the gap, using it as leverage, and forced the opening wider. Alara, go. But before she could move, gunfire erupted from the far corridor. Sparks flew as bullets tore through metal. Arden dove behind a crate. There inside, Cashin grabbed Alara and pulled her down behind a steel beam. Keep your head low. Rain and gunfire blended in a deafening roar. Shadows moved through the wide doorway, men with visors, rifles, and Thorn's emblem stamped across their armor. Alara's breath hitched. They look like soldiers. Cashin's voice was rough. Because they are. Arden fired back. We're pinned. Cashin cursed under his breath and glanced toward the partially open tunnel. We're not making it through there now. New plan. Alara looked between him and the approaching soldiers. Cashin, what do we do? He grabbed her face, forcing her to focus on him. Stay close.
Don't let go of me.
No matter what. She nodded, her fingers curling around his wrist. Arden threw a smoke grenade. Thick gray clouds billowed instantly, swallowing the room. Cashin pulled Alara to her feet. Move. They ran through the smoke-blind world, stumbling over old machinery. Alara coughed, tears streaking down her face as she clung to Cashin's shirt. She could hear soldiers shouting commands, boots pounding behind them. Arden's voice echoed through the haze.
Cass.
Left corridor. Cashin led her into the shadowy hallway, pushing aside a collapsed storage rack. Through here. Alara squeezed his hand. How do you know where to go? You can't even see. Muscle memory, he said. I used to hide from soldiers in places like this. Something inside her broke at that. Cashin, I'm sorry. For what? For dragging you into this. He stopped just long enough to look at her, really look at her through the smoke. Alara, he said softly, I walked into this long before you did. Before she could respond, Arden sprinted toward them. Cass. Company incoming. Cashin cursed and shoved open an old supply closet.
In. Now.
Alara climbed in, Cashin right behind her. Arden squeezed in last, shutting the door silently. The small space forced them close, too close. She could feel Cashin's breath against her temple, could feel his heartbeat hammering through his chest. Outside, the soldiers marched past, their muffled voices echoing. Alara held her breath. Cashin brushed a hand down her arm. Just once. Just enough to steady her. She whispered, Cashin, if they find us. They won't, he murmured. But if they do. He turned slightly, his voice barely audible. Then I'll die before I let them touch you. Her chest squeezed, painfully.
She didn't want him to die.
She didn't even want him to fight. She just wanted. The footsteps paused right outside the door. Alara's blood ran cold. Cashin's hand slipped into hers, his grip tightening. The soldier rattled the doorknob. Arden tensed, reaching for his knife. Alara's heart pounded so hard she thought she would faint. Then, a command shouted from down the hall. The soldier stepped away. Boots moved again, drifting farther, fading. Arden exhaled shakily. That was too close. Cashin nudged the door open a crack and peeked out.
Clear.
The three stepped out, the tension still gripping their muscles. Alara leaned against the wall, shaking. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep running. Cashin gently lifted her chin. You won't be running forever. How do you know? Because I'm not letting them win. Her eyes widened slightly. Cashin, you could die trying to protect me. He didn't flinch. Then I die with purpose. Emotions surged in her chest. Fear, gratitude, something warm and confusing she didn't want to examine. Arden interrupted. We have one shot. If we can get to the maintenance elevator, it'll take us to the storage level. From there, we can slip out the west exit. Cashin nodded. Then, that's where we're going. They moved quickly, but quietly, weaving through the remnants of abandoned machinery and dusty shipping crates. Every sound felt magnified, their breaths, the creaks of old beams, distant shouts. Halfway down the hall, Alara spoke softly. Cashin, about what you said earlier. He glanced back. What part? That you're scared for me. He hesitated just for a moment. Yeah. Why? She whispered, voice trembling.
Cashin stopped walking.
Really stopped. His shoulders rose and fell, his jaw tightening as he turned slowly to face her. Alara, he said quietly, because I've lost people.
Too many.
And I can't, he swallowed hard. I can't lose someone who matters to me again. Her breath caught. I matter to you? He stared at her like the truth had slipped out faster than he intended. More than I should. Before she could answer, Arden hissed. Cass. We've got movement. Cashin grabbed Alara's hand again. Stay with me. Heavy footsteps thundered down the corridor as the soldiers closed in. Cashin squeezed her hand, eyes sharp, voice steady. This ends tonight. The footsteps grew louder. Multiple pairs, closing in fast. Cashin pulled Alara behind a stack of rusted cargo bins just as bolts of gunfire lit up the hallway. Arden fired back. They're pushing us toward the elevator. Cashin cursed under his breath. Exactly what we need. Keep them busy. Alara clung to his arm as he guided her forward, keeping his body angled between her and the gunfire. Bullets ricocheted off metal, sending sparks flying, but Cashin never wavered. Almost there, he whispered. The elevator sat at the end of the corridor, old but intact. Arden reached it first and slammed the call button. It's coming, he said. Slow as hell, but it's coming. Alara's heart pounded harder with each second. What if it doesn't open in time? Cashin glanced at her, eyes fierce. Then I'll hold them off. No, she whispered. I'm not leaving you behind. Don't you dare think it.
His jaw tightened.
Alara. No. She grabbed the front of his shirt, her voice shaking. Don't you ever say that like your life is worth less than mine. I don't want to survive if you. A deafening crash cut her off. A soldier burst through the smoke, rifle raised. Cashin spun, placing himself fully in front of her. The soldier fired. Cashin shoved Alara sideways and took the hit across his shoulder, stumbling but staying upright. Cashin, she screamed. He didn't fall. Instead, he snarled through the pain and charged the soldier. They slammed into the wall, grappling violently. Cashin headbutted him, grabbed the rifle, and snapped it across his knee in one clean motion. Arden shot 2 more soldiers rounding the corner. Cass, we're surrounded. Cashin shoved the dazed soldier aside and grabbed Alara's wrist again. Get in the elevator.
Now.
The old doors screeched open at last. Arden dove inside. Move. Cashin pulled Alara in just as fresh gunfire exploded down the hall. He hit the close button, breathing hard, blood streaming down his arm. Alara's hands flew to his wound. Cashin, oh my God, you're bleeding again. I'm fine, he said, leaning against the wall, chest heaving. Are you okay? I'm not the one getting shot, she snapped, tears filling her eyes. Cashin reached up, brushing her cheek with the back of his fingers. As long as you're safe, I'll survive. Her breath hitched. You can't keep throwing your life away for me. I'm not, he said quietly. I'm protecting something worth protecting. The elevator shook violently as bullets struck the metal doors. Hurry, Arden muttered. Come on, come on. Alara pressed against Cashin's side, trembling as the elevator rattled its way downward. He slid an arm around her, pulling her close. I've got you. The elevator finally clanked to a stop. Arden pushed the doors open, revealing a dark storage level lined with crates and old rail tracks. Cashin stepped out first, scanning the shadows. We're close, he said. The west exit is through that tunnel. Alara followed, gripping the back of his shirt. And then what? We hide forever. Cashin shook his head.
No.
We end this. Arden frowned. Cass, you're not thinking. I am, Cashin said. Thorn won't stop. Not unless we make him. Alara froze. You mean face him? Cashin turned to her, his eyes steady. You know what's in those files better than anyone. You're the one who can destroy everything Thorn built. But I'm the one who gets you to that point. We do this together. Her throat tightened painfully. Cashin, I'm scared. I know. His voice softened. But you're not alone. Not anymore. Before she could respond, Arden gestured sharply. Movement behind us. Cashin grabbed Alara's hand and pulled her into the narrow tunnel. The rain-like drip of condensation echoed around them as they hurried through the darkness. Halfway through, a loud metallic slam sounded behind them. The soldiers had forced the elevator open. Arden swore. They're coming fast. Cashin picked up speed. Just a little farther. Alara's legs burned, her breath sharp and quick, but she didn't let go of Cashin's hand, not even when he pulled her harder than the pace she could handle. Light appeared ahead, the faint glow of the west exit's emergency lamp. Arden reached it first and shoved the old latch upward. It's jammed. Cashin pushed him aside gently. I've got it. He planted his foot and yanked with his uninjured arm. The latch screeched, then snapped open with a metallic crack. Fresh air rushed inside. Arden squeezed through. Go! Cashin ushered Alara forward, but the moment she stepped into the breach, a gunshot rang out behind them. Cashin shoved her fully through the doorway. He didn't make it out. Alara, run, he shouted. No, she screamed, grabbing his arm. But soldiers piled into the tunnel, bullets flying, sparks lighting up the narrow passage. Cashin turned and braced the door, pushing it shut to slow their advance. Cashin, stop. Alara sobbed, pulling at him. Cashin, please don't. He looked at her, really looked at her, with a softness she had never seen. Alara, he whispered, you matter. More than anything. Her heart broke. Arden grabbed her shoulders, trying to pull her back. Alara, we have to go. No, she cried, reaching for Cashin as the soldiers surged closer. Cashin. He slammed the door shut. The lock clicked. Alara choked on a sob and pounded on the metal. Cashin. Cashin. Arden dragged her away as she screamed his name, rain pouring over them from the cracked ceiling above the exit. Inside, Cashin braced himself against the door as soldiers rammed it from the other side. He whispered to himself, voice breaking just slightly, Stay alive, Alara. The pounding grew louder. And then, silence. Alara crumpled to her knees outside the exit, trembling violently. He's gone. Arden, he's gone. Arden knelt beside her.
No.
He's not dead. Cashin Rook doesn't die that easily. She wiped rain and tears from her face. We have to go back. No, Arden said firmly.
Not now.
Not while they're swarming. Cashin bought us time. Don't waste it. Alara pressed a shaking hand over her mouth. I can't lose him. Arden, I can't. Arden placed a hand on her shoulder. Then fight. For him. For everything he's bled for tonight. Alara lifted her head slowly, her expression trembling between heartbreak and determination. Take me to the files, she whispered. I'm ending this. Arden helped her to her feet. Together, they disappeared into the night, toward the city lights flickering in the distance. Behind them, the metal door rattled once. Just once. As if someone on the other side was still fighting. Still alive. Still trying to get back to her. Alara turned her head toward the sound, hope flickering painfully in her chest. Cashin, she whispered. If you can hear me, I'm coming back for you. If you enjoyed this story and want the next part, Cashin's fate, Alara's revenge, and the final showdown with Thorn, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment what you want to see next. Your support keeps these stories coming.